Welcome, Paige. It's so great to be with you today, and I'm excited about the interview and learning all about what you're up to and all these brand new programs and books and things that you're creating that are going to be launching soon. So thank you for being here today, and I will kick it off by giving folks an introduction of who you are. Um, so. Uh, I'd love to welcome Paige M. Powers. She's a fourth generation and lifelong intuitive and instructional mentor, an international and domestic retreat facilitator, and creator of The Matrix of the Soul. She's an author and collaborator of a new book, which you'll learn more about later on in the interview. After her two daughters, Martina and Helen, were murdered, Paige became their voice and the voice for spirit, continuing the dialogue once thought lost or unattainable. Through gentle guidance of past lives, current life, and future lives, along with etheric DNA, Paige is able to mentor and lovingly support people as they navigate trauma, crisis, uncertainty, and loss. Forgiveness is remembered and embraced. Grace and mercy return and is integrated. Clarity and intention are assessed at will and become the inner guidance that is embraced, as well as purpose and abilities. Paige's purpose and mission is to support others in knowing and being their true and highest self while walking their journey. Her passion is love, and her abilities of conversing with spirit, ambassadors, guides, and more bring comfort, clarity, and growth in times of change and transformation. Wow, it couldn't be perfect for the times that we find ourselves in. So I'm sure it's pretty obvious to those that are watching this interview that we are doing the interview from the comfort of our own homes as we shelter in place during this pandemic, this worldwide pandemic, the coronavirus. And so welcome, Paige.
Well, Jennifer, thank you for having me. What an honor. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I can't wait to hear what words of wisdom you're going to share with myself and all the viewers today. So, can you let's start off with talking about, where you've come from, because I think so many people can, relate to going through a crisis and going through a traumatic experience. So many people are, are dealing with the adverse effects to the coronavirus, whether it's, having a loved one who has contracted the coronavirus, or they themselves, there's somebody that they know that's on the front lines. Every single person on the planet is impacted, whether it's from a health perspective or financial perspective. And so, I couldn't have asked for a better person to interview, because you've come through really traumatic things. And so can you start by telling us, what happened to your two beautiful daughters, Martina and Helen?
Well, Martina and Helen are the love and the light of my life. They continue to be from just beyond that veil. And I went through a divorce, and it was traumatic. It was, it was kind of a crisis the whole time. And my ex-husband was given visitation, and I had asked for supervised visitation, and they said, no, he gets to see them. So the first time after our divorce was final, the first time that he saw them, they didn't come home. They were murdered along with his girlfriend and her three children and my two children, Martina and Helen. And it is absolutely, it's not life altering, it's life ending. And so it's a, boy, my heart's beating, and without my permission, and really being in a place of complete and total loss of pretty much everything. And also, with that loss, though, came great love from Martina and Helen. I didn't walk this alone. They walked every step with me, every minute. So for that, of course, I'm grateful. And then the subsequent trial and all the legal situation and everything, I've never not felt them with me. And so, and it started on the way, they were killed away from me, and it was about 6 hours away. And I can remember on the ride there, them popping in, and my mom had passed at that point. And my mom telling me, well, they're here. I have them. We're reading a book. And, things that just them being held. And at that point, I had not identified them. So until that point, there's always hope. There's always hope of, oh my gosh, this is just some crazy, unimaginable mistake. And I'm really sorry for the 2 little girls that are there, but they can't be mine. And so, and yet at the same time, I'm having these experiences on the way because I am a lifelong intuitive. I have always talked to spirit. And so knowing that they were in spirit, feeling them in spirit and having them coming through, it was like, well, okay, this is probably the case. The human part of me, of course, was like, oh, there's hope. I haven't seen them yet. So.
I can't even imagine what it's like to lose 2 children. I can't even fathom it. My brain has a hard time, wrapping its head around that. So true compassion goes out to you. And, I'm in awe, frankly, because, I've gotten to know you, and you really walk your talk. You are the joy and the love and the light that you present yourself here. And I'm curious, like, how do you rise up from losing your girls? Like, can you tell us about what, how you got back to this place of your joyful, authentic, loving self, who's, such a huge contribution to so many people. Can you tell us about that?
Thank you. Thank you. Again, it started in the car on the way there. When I got to the morgue, I was sitting outside because I was having trouble being confined in a space. So I went and I was sitting outside, and it was this beautiful June day, in the Midwest. The trees are blooming, everything is just beautiful. And off to my left was this willow tree, and it was just swaying and blowing in this breeze. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wow. And I hear this voice, and I hear, you will be okay. This is really big wind. This is a really big storm. And I promise you, like the willow tree, you will bend and you will dance in the wind, and it won't always be easy. However, you are not alone, and nor will you ever be alone. And as long as you allow yourself to be flexible and sway with the storm, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And from that moment, it was almost, and please understand, I still grieve the loss of my children. It does not diminish my grief. However, what it does is it brings a little bit of a dance to it. Like that willow tree. I will always be the willow tree. And I heard that voice as soon as I acknowledged it, and I said, okay. I hear, well, you are the newest willow tree. Welcome. And I thought, well, okay. All right. And, society is very unsure of what to do with people that are very different in whatever way. and then add violence, add tragedy, add the fact that nobody had been arrested, that, oh my goodness, is there a child killer out? The media, all of it. Add all of that to your grief, and it gets to be pretty overwhelming. And having that voice, that stillness, that beautiful tree. I go back to that tree a lot, even now today. And so it set a foundation of that beautiful voice coming in, and there was a reassurance. It was a reassurance of, nope, you're not who you were, nor will you ever be. However, you do have the gifts to walk with this and be the journey in a way that you support yourself if you need to. And there are times where it is a very alone, not lonely, because lonely is different than alone. Mm-hmm. It's a very alone journey. And I think that's part of what's going on now here today. We have this collaborative journey, which there are other parents that have lost children to murder. And I got kicked out of a group because I was too happy about Martina and Helen. And that was pretty quick. I was like 6 weeks after they had passed. It was like, oh my goodness, you're what? And I said, I'm so proud of them and so blessed to be their mom. And look at them, because they asked me to bring a picture. And I'm like, look at them. Are they not the best in the world? And I've always been in that place of how blessed I am. Gratitude. I believe it's Melody Beattie, mm-hmm. who says gratitude unlocks the door to chaos, and I don't remember exactly how it goes. However, it is gratitude, and it's I've always stood in a place of gratitude of, I am the luckiest person in the whole world because they chose me to be their mom. Mm-hmm. Life doesn't change.
Absolutely. And I think you say something profound, and I want to take a few minutes to speak about this, right? What I hear is that it comes down to choice. When we lose somebody that we love, whether it's a child or a spouse or a parent, we obviously we grieve, right? We grieve the loss of who they were, and yet, there's an opportunity to look for and be grateful for the memories that you made together in your life. And, and one leads you down the path of love and hope, right? When we choose to focus on the wonderful memories rather than the tragic loss of it, we can't help but deal with that. But the more we focus on the tragedy and the loss, it tends to take you down a different path, a path of anger, resentment, disappointment, sadness, lower level vibrational energy, which frankly only creates more suffering, and creates more suffering for you and all of your loved ones that are still living. And so I'm so encouraged to hear that, in you were tested, you were tested in faith. You had a practice of gratitude before losing your two beautiful girls. And then, how on earth can you be grateful, having lost them? Well, be grateful that you had them in your life for as long as you did. Of course, you would want them to be here now, but they are with you in spirit. And I think that's, can you talk a little bit about that? I'm a skeptic, so I'm going to just say that here and now. I lost my dad. It's going on, 19 years. And at the time, I didn't understand that there could be an opportunity to connect with my dad on a spiritual realm. And it took me a few years after his death to understand that I had that ability. And I'm grateful because I actually feel him often, and I feel supported by him. And frankly, we were estranged for many years before he passed. And so I actually have the experience of feeling more connected to him now. So can you talk a little bit about that for those that, may be new to this or a little skeptical like I once was? Can you tell us like how to be open to that possibility?
Well, the one of the ways that you can be open, they come through. Sometimes you'll smell something, and it'll be like, oh my gosh, I remember baking those cookies with my mom or my grandma or something. With Martina and Helen, they come through. They'll actually open a door and they'll look around the corner, and and it isn't all the time. That's the other thing. I know that they're here all the time. However, those special moments of it just feels different than the knowing that they're always here. There is a physical reaction to their presence at times. It can be angel bumps. It can be, you get a little cooler, a little warmer. You might smell something. You might even taste something. You may hear, oh, hi, Mom, or you may hear, I have your back. In the case of your father, I am here, I stand with you. Or you may look over and you may see them.
The strangest things happened to me when my dad passed away. I had a really hard time with it because it happened very suddenly and very tragically. And I remember distinctly, I had about an hour commute into the city where I worked at the time. And, I would hear not one, but two of his favorite songs. And I'd be crying, sobbing, crying, thinking of my dad and thinking about, having regret for not speaking to him for nearly 10 years, right? And, so I'd be kind of, really in a state of sadness. And then all of a sudden, like his favorite song, one of his favorite songs would come on. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then, and then another one would come on, and I'm like, I'm not even listening to the radio station that plays his favorite songs. I'm actually listening to something that's more pop oriented. And my dad was a classic rock guy, right? And I'm like, what's going on here? And those are the early indications for me anyway.
Absolutely. And, numbers are another one. People will see 11:11 on the clock, or I think I even sent you a message, sequential, oh, it's 2:34. Okay, I love sequences, and that time, that hour in the morning was your time to reconnect with your dad. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, he showed up. They show up for us. And I know sometimes when we're really stressed and we really feel like we're going through something and we can't kind of find our way in it, sometimes it feels like spirit moves away. That's when they're standing there so incredibly powerful, and they're waiting and they're supporting us to finally hear our voice again. Mm. It's our voice that we must hear. And then they come back in with what we can hear from them or see. A cardinal, it is a classic and beautiful example. The hawk. I have many clients where, if they're going through something, a hawk will show up and it'll be a parent or a sibling. And it's all about details. Mm-hmm. Check your details. And they love to share those things. The eagle is all about that higher perspective. The eagle is the bird that flies the highest. Mm. And so it takes your ideas to the highest level that they can go, and then we'll bring back information for you. So there was a session one time where there was this lady and she's dancing on the back of a cow. Well, and that's the other thing is for us as the person giving the message, we get out of our own way because it isn't about us. It's about the client. It is about the person that's receiving. And it was like, well, I'm not sure, but this is what, there's a lady and she's dancing on the back of a cow, and immediately the client knew exactly who that was. It was her grandma who, as a child, her parents couldn't afford ballet lessons, but she wanted to learn ballet. So she needed the balance. So she could dance on the cows. So little things like that, well, that's a big thing. However, sometimes things like that will show up, and only you know. And that's the other thing. Only I could tell that it's Martina and Helen coming in, or my mom, or my dad. And you know it's your dad because of the songs. And songs is one of the highest frequencies we can experience here. And so they meet us at that frequency that we can hear. And so it's not like they come down, but it's like it levels, it balances, and they meet us where song can meet us. And, there's different types of songs and different frequencies with different musics and stuff, and it's all numerical, of course. It's quantum physics, or beyond.
I want to talk a little bit about that, right? So, my experience over the years, so I said it's coming up on 19 years since my dad passed away, and my connection with him has deepened beyond song. Like, of course, I hear songs from time to time, but I, so many other ways for me have revealed itself. But I will say that happened because I feel I was attuning myself to a higher vibration of love and forgiveness and peace. And when I am in that state, it's really easy for me to be present to signs and symbols and just a knowing, and I've since lost other people, beyond my dad. And so it's not just my dad that I can connect with, but others too. And so can you talk a little bit about our own frequency and how, and I guess it kind of speaks to forgiveness too and beyond. Like how do we continue to rise up, if you will?
Part of it is self-exploration. To really know thyself is to empower ourselves. And, having this new day and a new way to dance with our own divinity. Divinity is the divine, it's the sacredness, and as we discover that, we go to our intuition too, and to our gut instincts. And intuition, I learned something is I always love to learn. And tuition itself means guardianship. And so when your intuition kicks in, you're in your own guardianship. And those messages that can come forward in that space is where our growth can happen. It's where our clarity, we can find our clarity. And sometimes, we have DNA that comes in, and there's little blips in it and stuff like that, and little knots where our traumas are. And as we look at that, we can look at ourselves and be okay and be well, and bring in the soul portion, the 7 different light bodies, the many, many aspects of ourselves, and bring them in and look at them. And when we transform the energies, then they become useful, they become well, they become light and love, and a propulsion, so to speak, a motivation, momentum of how to move in the experience. We don't move beyond it. We don't move beyond our experiences. They walk right with us. They're never far away. Pick an experience and just, oh, there it is over here. Let's bring it in. Let's look at it. And sometimes our patterns are our experiences that we have released without the process in the journey. And it says, oh, can I please come home? It's that pattern that comes around again, and we find ourselves in, for myself anyway, I'm like, wow, okay, so I'm in this same pattern again. What does this mean? And when I'm able to actually process that, then it transforms into that beautiful, loving, utilizing light and love energy. So
I think what I hear you saying is a couple of different things. It's like all of our experiences are opportunities to return home to our authentic selves, and
mhm,
they're also growth opportunities, right? So, in um, I can speak to, I've had quite a bit of trauma starting when I was a child, and more recently being 15 feet from a terrorist attack, without having any warning of that.
mhm,
And yet, um, I remember one of my mentors saying to me that someday you'll see this as the biggest gift in your life. And I was just like, no way, like just no way. I couldn't comprehend it then. And here's the thing, the truth is, I now say it was the greatest gift of my life because I learned so much about me, and I created brand new boundaries, and new relationships with myself and others that were more loving, compassionate, and kind and forgiving, frankly. And so I was able to rise up from that. So for me, looking back at it, like I can now look at the good that came from that horrific experience. And I think that's a lot of what I hear you saying, is that how do we integrate it? In my younger years, I was constantly trying to run from myself and run from my traumatic past. And I learned much later on, as an adult, that no, it's an intention to integrate and to, and allow that to be part of your ascension and rising up.
mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. And I too have had trauma quite a bit in my life. And when I was 2 years old, I was taken from my family, my siblings, and everything. Our parents gave us all up, and so that was my preparation to be able to stand by myself. Exactly, almost exactly 30 years later,
Wow.
because I was 32 when Martina and Helen were killed. And so for 30 years, I learned how to be quiet, how to be and where to go, um, for my own self, and to find that place of, almost beyond forgiveness, Jennifer. It feels like that place beyond forgiveness where discernment creates non-judgment.
Mm.
And when we look at our experiences as that's an experience, instead of look what happened to me, and shifting it into, victimhood creates the trauma expression and experience, fight or flight. When we look at our experiences as, where is my growth in that? What is this for me? What gift? And you spoke to that earlier. There, in all of our experiences, there's a gift. And so it's no longer trauma.
So say a little bit more about that in relation to what we're dealing with now with this coronavirus. So for some people, they're like, how can I see this as a gift? My health has been implicated in some cases. My economic, my finances have been implicated. And for some people, it's a combination of that. So what do you say to people? Like, what words of wisdom do you say to people that are like scratching their head going, how do I see this as a gift and an opportunity?
Sometimes it is hard to see it as a gift. Absolutely. When we're immersed in the TV, when we're immersed into the news and into all of the information that comes in, all the information right now is overwhelming. And it's like, how do you sort through what is real or what isn't real, or even if we need to. And so how do I sit with that? I get quiet. I get quiet. And how is it impacting me? And what can I do about that? Mm-hmm. And how do I present myself in that space of, you know what, I'm overwhelmed and I don't have the answers. Sometimes that's the key. You know, when we start projecting and we start going, oh, but this person said that, and this, it's no longer us anymore. It's not our truth. It's everybody else's truth that we're trying to fit our own into. And as we come back to ourselves, everybody out here we can love them deeper. We can be with them in a place of, I am supporting myself, I am well, and how can I support you? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about getting quiet and doing a meditation? Or have you thought about going for a walk? Build your immune system. Joy, turn that music on. We spoke of music a little bit ago and how the frequency of that raises ours. And do something that brings you joy. It doesn't mean that don't be discerning. It doesn't mean go, jump yourself into situations that may or may not be detrimental. We don't know. Nobody knows. And that's the thing. It's like putting our trust in one thing, or I believe everything here and over here. Again, it's that being in that non-judgment place.
What I hear you say too is like, be present in the moment, right? Like, be present in the moment. And also that what I also hear is like, we are the creators of our lives. So, if, of course, discernment plays a role in it, but I have an image of, or, a metaphor of a GPS, right? Like, I'm in control of where I choose to go in my life. Nobody does that for me unless I give them permission to do it. So what I hear you saying is that, if we want to have an experience that's different than, what we find ourselves in now, we have the power within us to create newly, and it's focusing our attention on what we want rather than what we don't want, is what I hear, you saying in that. Would that summarize it?
Absolutely. And what if we actually wrote down on a piece of paper coronavirus and held it to our heart for just a moment and say, I love you and I feel you. I'm grateful for what you're offering, not only myself, but the collective. And then call in not only that, but what we know supports us. And it replaces fear. Curiosity. Ask it, what is it that you want? What do you want from me? How can I serve this whole experience for myself as well as the collective? Mm-hmm. And being with that and getting curious, it does replace the fear. It brings in the gratitude of, wow, I had no idea that this is what you were actually wanting to express. We can't assume things. That's not okay. It's not okay for me. And so as I get curious and as I ask questions, not the whys, because the whys they're never there. The whys can make you crazy. I'll come to that conclusion.
It's down a rabbit hole you don't want to go, and there's no cheese there. I promise. I've been there.
Exactly. So get to the place where you're holding these pictures and going, aren't they amazing? And being in that space with this whole experience. I love it. I have a neighbor across the street, and there's 2 little girls out there. This has given me the pause to experience two little girls playing and loving each other. And their mom, okay, and protecting them and kind of bringing them in and guiding them. And so it has offered that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And what a precious gift that is. And I can hold it and say, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. There are things within the situation that bring me to an unease, that bring me to, gosh, I don't know that I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so really looking at why I can't do that, and that's the where I can do the why is within myself, not out here. You know? However, as I look at myself and I say, well, okay, this is a place of curiosity. This is our discomfort is our places of growth. It's the platform upon which our growth is waiting for us. You know, it's already at the microphone. It's already going, hi, you know, singing or doing whatever it's doing. You know, here, look at this. I'm going to make a little noise over here. You know? And I'm going backstage. Do I enjoy that? You know, which of course, 99% of the time I will say yes, I will join you. There is that time though where it's like, not right now. And that's okay too. That's okay. It's okay to say, I cannot do this right now. I will pick it up when I can. That's self-love. That's confidence in ourselves too. When we have that confidence that we know how to care for ourselves, then we can serve others and we can serve the collective. And that does serve the collective in itself.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. We are all energy beings, right? And so whether we speak it out loud or not, but just our presence resonates or it has a vibration to it, right? And we don't hear it. Some of us don't feel it. I personally do, but we have the ability to make a difference just in what we're choosing to vibrate. So the more love that I feel and have within me, whether I speak it out loud or not, doesn't matter. But my essence is coming from that place, right? And so whether I'm walking down the street alone or bump into people, like I'm vibrating out love rather than fear, right? And are constantly in a state of joy. At least that's my experience of you, and love, of course. And that's a choice, right? And the more that we choose to come from those places, I'm of the belief too, like attracts like. When we resonate at a certain level, then we connect. We have, I see this as an opportunity, right? I see some people that I personally know where this is a disruptor, a big disruptor in their life. And the truth is, they have jobs that they don't love. They're grateful for because they pay the bills, but the truth is it's not what they want to do. And, they're trading time for dollars and they're not really happy and fulfilled, and I see this as a great opportunity to be like, okay, what if I were to try something new? What if I were to explore the thing that I've been thinking about or longing about for so many years and now have the courage to take a step forward in that direction, and by doing so, new opportunities present themselves, or realizing that, if a lot of your input from the people that are in your life, your inner circle, is negative, that's a big fat opportunity, right? To sit there and go, do I want to continue to be part of a group that's constantly promoting fear? Because I promise you, you're not going to get far in life in that state, And so now it's an opportunity to lovingly leave that group and go find a new tribe that are resonating and vibrating in the level in which that you want to participate in and be a part of.
Absolutely. And to recognize at one point that is where you resonated.
Yeah.
And to love that and say, okay, now my currency is love and joy. The bank now is spirit. My bank is dancing and music and movement and flow. And the currency is always love. Always.
Love is the way.
That's right. Love is the way and the truth and all of it. And that is where we find our truths. Absolutely. And to do that is when we hear that voice within, or sometimes it's physical. Oh, my left hand hurts here. Okay, what am I holding that I'm receiving that is incongruent with who I've become? Oh, okay. And then we can actually discern and describe and find that. And from that, we find our confidence. Every time that we actually realize, our confidence grows. And being self-confident isn't arrogant, it's eloquent.
Yeah.
And that's where we can dance. And
Yeah.
that's where we can be quiet and be still and be movement all at the same time. It's where we're everything.
Yeah, powerful. And I know that, in this time of quarantine, you actually are not in your home. You're actually in a different state because you were traveling in the midst of the stay at home. And so you haven't even been able to get back to your home in Florida yet. And yet you've been super busy creating new stuff that's going to be coming out soon. You've created the Matrix of the Soul, which is, a brand new set of angel cards for those people that are interested in that. You can share about that in a minute. And then you've got a book launching, Forgiveness, 5 Fingers of Forgiveness, Holding Our Trauma with Grace and Mercy. That's coming out this summer. And you created a year-long program called The Goddess Pause. You've been busy. You've been busy in this time of creating. So tell us a little bit about the Matrix of the Soul angel cards and how can people, I know they're not out yet, but they're soon to be coming. How can people learn more about it? Tell us about your book, and more importantly, tell us about your year-long mentorship program.
Okay, I would love to. Thank you, Jennifer. I'm so excited about sharing, what I've learned through my own journey. And I meet people in where rawness is. And sometimes with a past life or with our current life or even a future life, because there's some people, they call it past life regression, I believe. I call it past life awareness, because I feel we're moving all at the same time. All of our dimensions, all of the quantum fields are all at the same time, parallel universes and multidimensional. And so also, that means we can go as far as we can go back in our lifetimes. We can also go forward. And we can go forward 1,000 years and meet ourselves there and say, do you remember when that happened back there? What was the best solution for you at that time? And could that have been tweaked in some way? And then bring it back to now. And that is what Matrix of the Soul does. It allows people to be in that rawness with their DNA from past, present, and future converging, and how it meets and how it moves and how we can claim DNA and we can say, I'm changing it. And one of my favorite authors is Bruce Lipton, Biology of Belief. And this is almost, it could almost walk with that, because it says our biology of belief, we can change anything at any moment. We can say, I don't claim that. And so with the Matrix of the Soul, I created this modality, and the angel cards are a physical representation of the modality. And what is our truth? How does truth look as DNA? How does hope and grief look as DNA? How does healing of a cell look as DNA? And calling that in and being able to actually hold it and put it where, oh, my knee hurts, which by the way is our pride. Oh, my knee hurts today. I'm going to hold the etheric DNA on my knee and allow it to work with me as I invite it in. And so the cards represent that self-confidence, that self-love, and how we can bring it in and allow it to continue to flow through us. So you can work with the acupressure points. You can do the Reiki with it. There's another German machine called the Beamer. You can use that. It's bio transference or something like that, where it's all frequency. And this does that as well. So, and I love it. Oh my gosh. And it's a powerful gift that people have given themselves to work with that. And I also do specific soul signatures, which we can talk about a little bit later too. And my book, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about the book. It's about assessing, getting to that place, assessing where we are in our road of forgiveness and in that journey of forgiveness. Where are we on that path? And loving ourselves no matter what. It's a book and a workbook all at the same time. It offers questions and, just little, here, have you looked at this? How about this over here? And what could this be like? And bringing in, Wayne Dyer, assume the feeling. Okay. And so what could us brings in the potential of assuming the feeling of where you wish to be. And then the book itself will take you through this amazing journey of Atlantis and Lemuria, Earth, Heaven, and Mu. So there's the 5 fingers, and how do we hold it? All of them are within the DNA of who we are. It's in our palm. All of those civilizations.
And how would you define forgiveness?
For myself, forgiveness has been a place where I hold myself and everybody within an experience that I feel was hurtful. So it does bring in the judgment piece. Absolutely. It brings in my perception, my judgment of an experience. So like in the experience with Martina and Helen, what I did was I held that whole experience, everybody in it. And with each person, I have said, I now forgive you and I release you from my unhealing that I actually burdened you with. There's many that say forgiveness is for ourselves, it's not for the other person. It is for the other person. It is for everybody within the experience. It releases, if it were just for me, it wouldn't be forgiveness. It is the whole collective. It is the collaborative. It's everybody within that experience. It's allowing me to not have this hold on somebody else. That even love, it releases everything, and it says, I am going to be on my own on this now, and your input is also not going to affect me. I am going to love, and love just reframes every, and we've talked about that a couple times here. It brings in that forgiveness piece of, I forgive the action that you took. And I forgive and am grateful for the experience that has come from it. Because it also ushers in that gratitude.
Absolutely, which again, gratitude, raises our vibration, and actually shifts our state, which frankly creates healing within. Because, and that's what Dr. Bruce Lipton talks about in his book as well, like biology of belief, but also the biology of love and hope. And you speak to that too, in what you put together. There's actually a vibrational sequence to it. There's an image to it. And when we resonate with that, it's that's where harmony is there. And when we're in a state of harmony and balance, disease cannot exist.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. And, we can also be contrast.
Mm-hmm.
And being in that contrast is part of that balance. It truly is. And it's measurable. That's the other thing, is it is measurable. When I work with people, when they first come in, this is what it looks like. After we do the work, this is what it looks like. And it's extraordinary, and it's beautiful to see and be a witness to such courage, because it takes courage to look at ourselves.
Oh, absolutely. And it takes courage to go through the kind of pain that you've endured, and to be able to, get to a place of forgiveness and beyond. It really does take courage and strength to do that. And so I commend you for it.
Thank
So
you.
now tell us about, you have a brand new program called the Goddess Pause. It's a year-long program. I believe you are, as a bonus to those people that sign up for this year-long program, you are gifting folks with their unique soul signature portrait, which, what is that?
Well, it's
sounds intriguing, but what is it?
Oh my gosh, it's just so cool. What it is our physical DNA and our etheric DNA, and how it comes in through how we see the world. Because the personal soul portrait is, its starting point is the eyes,
Mm-hmm.
the seat of the soul. And so I actually co-create with spirit and with the person, yourself, an image of what that looks like. And it truly is a matrix. And I have samples on my website, and it's just, again, it's extraordinary to see the different presentations of souls and who we are. And it comes through. There's one on there where the gal is a Gemini, and it's like, boy, you can see, here's that side of it, and there's the other twin. It's like, and very feline. So there's this very much can see in the dark, so doesn't need the light to see and have vision. And that comes through her soul portrait. It's very clear. So
powerful. And so your year-long program, tell us a little bit about that and where people can learn more.
Okay. It is called the Goddess Pause, and I'm so excited to be offering this. I will be launching that this summer yet. And it is a year-long program of one-on-one with myself, one-on-one sessions and group and a virtual retreat, and hopefully at some point a physical retreat as well. And it's a mentoring program for women in leadership roles, or women. Every woman is in a leadership role.
Absolutely. Even the moms are leaders.
That's right.
They think it or not, they are.
That's right. Absolutely. And so for us to assess what are our gifts, what are our strengths, recognize them, and then move into a place of really, we have no weakness. Acknowledging that, we discover what is it that we wish to bring more out into the world, and then taking that discovery and creating a plan. And from that plan, what is the response to that plan? The response is your action. And what are you going to act? How are you going to be on this stage?
Mm.
And how do you present to others and bring others to their own self-empowerment as well? And so finding our own and then bringing that out into the world, with that grace and that mercy, and uh, and all of the potential and all of the possibility is all within. And so assessing that, finding it, and sometimes women that are already doing retreats, that are already in leadership roles, such as yourself, Jennifer, you're already doing leadership out into the world, and looking at all of your strengths and saying, wow, look at that gift, look who I am, wow, that's really cool, and discovering more about it. It's going deeper. It's not being on the surface anymore. It's going deeper. And sometimes we get exhausted. It's self-care. It's self-love. It's what do we do for ourselves as women to be able to nurture and love and bring forward more of ourselves in a way that supports ourselves as well as others. It's no more just give, give, give. There's a balance of giving and receiving. Again, the contrast, and what's in the middle is where we dance.
Fantastic, fantastic. So people can learn more about the matrix of the soul, about your unique soul signature, as well as the Goddess Pause on your website, which is pagempowers.com. There'll be a link that I'll include upon the interview. But super exciting stuff, and we're nearing the end here. So, as we wrap up, what are last words of wisdom would you share with the viewers today?
Be gentle. Be gentle and be kind. Be kind to yourselves. Be kind to others. We cannot possibly know what other people are experiencing. It's not ours to experience. However, we can be gentle and kind with them. And the other thing is, know that you're okay. Know that you're beyond okay. Know that you're exquisite and eloquent and extraordinary. And you're here to bless us with your presence. And we're so grateful. Absolutely. And so shine on, shine. This little light of mine, it's going to shine. It also dances.
Yes, I know it does. It's very dying to dance, I know.
It's it's hard for me to sit still.
Me too, so I can relate to that. Me too. So thank you again for taking the time, Paige, to share your insights, your story, your word wisdom, and hope, frankly, especially in the times that we find ourselves in. I'm personally excited to see your new products and programs being launched in the short, in a few weeks. Actually, we're going to be upon the summer months. So thank you again. I appreciate you and taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Absolutely. Jennifer, thank you so much. It's been an honor.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you.